Thank you. Nice to meet you, Mr. Patterson.
Good to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Mudd.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing? I will provide you a copy of my cover letter and resume. Mr. Mudd.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir.
Mr. Long, why are you interested in the position of assistant principal at our school?
Well, I just finished the NELA program, and I'm now certified principal, and I'm just ready to take that next step. And I've been researching schools, and I got a list narrowed down to about 5, and out of the 5, your school was first on my list.
What do you know about our school and community?
Well, I researched it a lot. I know your high school serves 9 through 12 traditional setting. You have 730 students, and you have 79% African American and 21% Hispanic. That adds a certain level of diversity to the school, and you live in a very diverse area in Dallas, and I would just be excited to work in the area.
Mr. Long, in what ways has your learning and your experience through your previous educational experience, your master's program teaching, prepared you for this position?
That's a great question. I think all of my education and my work experience has taught me a lot about relationship building and collaboration. Every school you walk into has 2 of the same elements, teachers and students. That's really what you need to run a school is teachers and students. But it's how you build the relationships between those 2 that determines the success of your school. We're all about the end result, what happens at the end. So sometimes we forget how do we get to the end. It's about those relationships we build along the way and collaboration we use to get there. And I think it has a lot to do with relationship building.
Mr. Long, if my son was here, he would tell you that he's a handful sometimes for our principal. And so I'd like to know, how would you deal with discipline?
I believe in being fair and consistent when it comes to discipline. And through almost 20 years of education, over 12 years of coaching high school and college football, I've dealt with a lot of handfuls in my day. But you just gotta make them believe. You gotta make believers out of them. We all here have education, and we know it's important that we believe in it. But we take people that are not so sure and make them believers also. It just adds to our team of believers. And we can make them believe in themselves and believe in the school and what we're trying to do, then they'll come along with us. But with discipline, you must be fair and consistent at all times. You bend the rules for nobody, but you must let them understand why the discipline is taking place and what the actions are. And it's best just to be clear and always transparent in that field when it comes to discipline. Thank you.
We are a high school that places advocacy for social justice at the forefront of our school culture. How would you be an advocate for social justice?
I'm a huge advocate for social justice. We're doing a lot of reading on that right now. My teaching trade is history. I'm a history teacher. I've always been in love with history for some reason. I have no idea why. But if you look throughout history, social injustice is a huge part of this country. For so long, certain people were left out of education, were forced out of it. Now it's time to open the doors so everyone comes and gets their education and fairly, because that's going to make this only a better country. It's our ultimate goal to have better school systems, better community, or a better country. If every technology's made this whole world so global that we must start looking at things as a whole nation, and how do we compare on a global scale? And if we continue with social injustice, it just sets us back. We must open our arms, our hearts, and our minds to social justice so we can move forward.
I see that you've had some experience working with at-risk students and students who are struggling. What are some initiatives that you've been a part of in the past that have been successful in working with at-risk students, and how do you think you can transition that to our school to help our at-risk students?
That's a great question. When I first came into education, it was from a news article in the paper. I applied for a job. I just graduated from college. I needed a job, and there was a at-risk facilitator job opening for the American program. I applied and was lucky enough to get the job, and that taught me so much about education. It opened my eyes into what at-risk kids need to be successful in school. And I have some solid plans that I know work for at-risk kids because I've used them for almost 10 years. Well, I actually continue to use them even in the regular ed setting. But if you can make them accountable for themselves and show them that you're constantly checking it and constantly care about what they're doing, because sometimes at-risk kids feel like we do it because no one cares what we do. We're at risk. We're labeled anyways. But if you show them and teach them accountability, it goes a long way with at-risk kids. By simply letting them monitor and track their own behaviors, their own success, and their own failures at school, because they will have all of them. They're at-risk students. They're going to fail some. But let them track that and monitor that themselves, and when they start taking ownership of their education, it's a powerful, powerful thing to witness and be part of.
Mr. Long, if you were hired as assistant principal in this school, how do you intend to, or how do you envision parents being a part of the building?
I think that's a huge part of the whole education system, having the parents involved, because I want them to take ownership of the school as well as us involved in the school, for them to take ownership and be a huge part of it, and build a relationship with the parents and let them know that their opinion does count, and what they say and think does matter, but also their actions matter. You may say one thing, but never show up to help when we need help, or show up when something goes wrong. You're the first person there, but when things are going right and no one shows up there. We're all a part of it, and please build a relationship with them to let them know that it's a community school. It's for everyone to be part of, and please give us your help. Not just in times of distress, but in times of joy. Come with us and let's do this together. It's going to take all of us. If our true goal is to give every kid that walks through that door an opportunity to become educated, we need the parents' help more now than ever.
Mr. Long, can you define data-driven decision-making for us?
Definitely. Because that's around you everywhere in modern school, as you know, it's all in school right now. Data is the key because the numbers don't lie. They are what they are. And you're always looking at the end result. Well, how did that finish? How did that finish? But are you just looking at it, or are you taking that data to help improve classroom instruction? That's the key to it, is improving your instruction of your teachers. Let them know. And it's always great to compare your data. What did the kid do? Not just year to year, semester to semester, week to week, month to month. Comparing data, it seems to be a new trend in school, but really, if you think about it, it should have been used 10 years ago to compare the data of how kids are performing, how schools are performing. Because the numbers don't lie, they're there, but it lets you reach the end result. It lets you know where you need to be and how you can get there. And if you use that data to influence instruction, it's a powerful tool.
What type of data sets should be used?
Definitely data that compare. Most data sets you work with are comparing children's grades and their performance. And that's a great data. That's great data to use, their grades and performance. But one thing I think that people miss, and I'm starting to use this year, I'm looking more into, is comparing attendance and behavior data on individual students. And that right there solves a lot of the problems before you ever get to why are they failing, why are they making bad grades. Look at the attendance. Look at the behavioral record of the child. That's great data to compare when you're making decisions and plans for children to improve their education.
As a teacher, let's say I have a difficult student in my class who continually disrupts class, and the procedure is that every time he disrupts class to an extent where it's hindering the learning environment, I have to send him down to ISS for the rest of the class period. And so I'm sending this kid to ISS almost every single day. And he comes across you in the office one day, and you're speaking with him, and he says, Mr. Long, I don't want to go to class. That's why I don't go to class. I go in there and I act up because I want to go to ISS. That's where I want to be. What would your course of action be with that student?
Mr. Mo, that's a great question. If I were presented with that problem, I'm going to be real cautious in my approach because automatically I'm going to start thinking that's something not school related. There's something more to that picture of why that kid's behaving and acting out like that and why they're wanting to be in ISS isolated from everyone else. And maybe a lot more going on than we see sometimes just as a classroom teacher. A teacher's a tough job. You have a lot to do with all the initiatives that are put upon you and the success. We're looking for your end result and you being successful. But if a kid's doing that constantly and you tried your best in every means you have to reach that child, but this behavior continues, it's probably something other than just school related. The kid's probably having some deeper problems and has that special person that can build that relationship that can start unpacking and uncovering those real problems, those issues, so we can find that kid help. Because that's our ultimate goal, is to find help for that child, regardless if it's out in school or outside of school. If they're a young person struggling, we need to find help for them to the best of our ability. So you must just build that relationship, be cautious in your approach, but just start unpacking it. And a lot of times, once you start, they'll unpack it for you. They'll lead you in the right direction to where the problem is, if they trust you and they feel confident in the relationship.
Mr. Long, our students have expressed a desire to be more empowered in the school. And so how would you offer them the opportunity to be empowered?
That made me smile, Mr. Patterson. That's a great question. I felt the same way when I took on my last role at Hereford County High School. There are great students all around the school, but no one knew who these great students were. They weren't empowered in the school, just like your question. When I started something called SLT, Student Leadership Team, to let these students voice their opinion and show the community, the school, the state, whoever wants to hear it, who they really are and what they're doing and what their views and philosophy about education are. How can they help improve instruction? How can they improve the school they in? And you hope that through improving them in school, that just spills out of the school and goes into the community. Because every school has powerful students, and it has powerful teachers, powerful leaders. But if the voice isn't heard, it does no good. A kid can go through 4 years, be the most wonderful person, great goals, great dreams, great grades, and never hear the voice of him one time. The student leadership team is a great avenue for those kids to express themselves and get their views and opinions out on school to help improve schools. They're there for a reason, to help improve the process. Thank you.
Mr. Long, do you have any questions for us today?
Yes, I do. I have several questions, but I'll try to keep it limited. I noticed on your website you have a lot of 21st century centered goals in your school. How do you, what kind of professional development do you use to get forth those 21st century goals?
We are currently trying to push the use of technology. As you stated earlier, yes, we are living in a global society, and our students need to be competitive at that global level. So we are integrating technology and providing avenues of technology access, because we do have students who are from impoverished backgrounds who want to make sure that we are providing them that access to put them on that equal playing field in the global market.
Great. I also noticed that you have lots of before and after school tutorial programs. I was very impressed by that. The year before, 2 years ago, I was at a school that for the first time reached AYP, and I was wondering if one of our main techniques, we had the after school and the before school tutorials, but something that really helped us reach that goal, we did during school tutorials. Have you ever thought about implementing that into your school schedule?
Well, we're always flexible enough to bend our time and not be so rigid with that school schedule. So I'd like to hear what your school did. Mr. Mudd, Mr. Patterson, do you have any input on that?
Well, I know our kids, they enjoyed the after school and before school, so that's why they were successful.
Yeah, and I saw that on your website. It was very interesting when you did that. I was very impressed by that. And that's it for my questions. And I just thank you so much for your time of having me here. And I really truly enjoyed this experience.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Long.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Thank you.